Hello and welcome to the Blue Open Studio tutorial video series. The topic of this video will be .NET controls. In this video, we will be discussing what is .NET and how .NET controls work inside of the software. We will demonstrate configuring a web browser, configuring a PDF or document viewer, and configuring a progress bar. The .NET framework is a software framework that was developed by Microsoft that runs primarily on Windows operating systems. It includes a large class library known as the Framework Class Library, or FCL, and it provides language interoperability, meaning that each language can use code written in other languages. And this is available across several different programming languages. The .NET control configuration layout is very similar to what we saw with the ActiveX control layout in a previous video. To put it simply, think of the .NET control as an app. We have our screen, which is our .NET container, and then the .NET standard API as the control. It has properties, which are the settings that you configure, which essentially sends data into the control. Then we have methods, which are subroutines inside of the control, which can either bring values in or send values out. And then events, which are the notifications or outputs of the control. So sending data back out to whatever sources, be it tags or a script, whatever the case may be. So we'll begin by first creating our screen for our .NET controls. So in the Project Explorer inside of Development, I'll make sure I'm on the Graphics tab, expand my screens, then open my template screen. And then I will save this screen with a new name, the word dot, and then net. Once my screen opens, I can now begin adding .NET controls. And the first one we will look at is a progress bar. So on the menu ribbon, make sure I'm on the Graphics tab, and under Libraries, we see ActiveX control, but we don't see .NET. And that's because it now is a drop-down menu where .NET is underneath it. We'll click to select it, and it will bring up the .NET Framework Components dialog. This one takes a little longer to compile than the ActiveX does, and that is because it is reading from your system. Now, it looks as if the software hangs or is not responding or is crashed, and see it's come back up with a full list. This list is a little more comprehensive than the ActiveX list was. It gives us the name of the control, the namespace, or what its official name is, the assembly name, and the directory where it's located. So for us, we want to use a progress bar. So I will scroll down until I find progress bar. I'll click OK. Now I've placed the progress bar on the screen. Now we'll open the object properties, and you see the layout is very similar to what we saw in the ActiveX controls. We have a control name, and then a field for a name for this individual control, and then the property pages button and members button. So for us, we'll leave the name as progress bar. If I click on property pages, this looks a little more similar to what you've seen if you've ever used Visual Basic or VB scripting in Excel. You have this type of layout, this grid layout for the configuration of the object. And we see things in bold because they're changed from the default of the control itself. So when the control is brought in to Blue Open Studio, it does some configuration to the control as it places it down. So anything in bold in this list has been changed from its default or starting value. We don't have to change anything here. So I'll close that and then I'll open up members. And the members window is very similar to what we saw with ActiveX. We have our properties, methods, and events categories. And each one is set the same as the ActiveX with the same columns for each one. And to get this progress bar to work, we only have to configure one property, and that is the value property. If I scroll down to the bottom, I see value, and I will click on the browse to bring up the object finder, and in the selection field, I will start typing in temp, and I will select my temperature tag. And you see the scan now is set to always instead of none, and that's because you cannot select anything else. This will always scan those tags. And now our progress bar is configured. However, I need a way to change the value. So I will open my ActiveX screen, and I will copy my temperature slider, which is a linked symbol, off of that screen, and paste it here. I'll just move this down, make it a little more roomy. Expand this out just a bit. There we are. And now I will save the changes to my screen. I will close both of them. Then I will snap my development to the left and then start the runtime. Once the runtime comes up, I will snap it to the right side of my screen. And I forgot to put in the button to navigate to the .NET control screen. And that's okay. I will go back into my development and go to my database SPY, and we can call the open function from the database SPY. So I will type in the word open, and then open parenthesis, and then open quote, and I will put in the name of my screen, which is .NET, close quote, close parenthesis. When I execute, it brings up the .NET screen. So now I can move my slider and adjust, and you see that the progress bar fills. So if I go back into my development, and let's say I change this, min is 0, let's change the max to 500, and then save. You see that it does not go above 100. In fact, when you do that, it drops it back down, and eventually you'll crawl up to 100 if you keep doing this. That's because the progress bar in the property pages is configured for a minimum and maximum value here. So we can adjust that min and max to correspond with what we want to use. Additionally, if we wanted to use a tag in here, we would have to put it inside of curly brackets. So I'll change this back to a max value of 100. Additionally, I will bring up my navigation screen and then copy my ActiveX button and configure it for the .NET screen. So now we've created a progress bar with the .NET control, and in a previous video for ActiveX controls, we looked at the web browser. So let's look at the .NET counterpart for the web browser. So I'll go back into my development and maximize just to get a better view. And I will go up to graphics on the menu ribbon. Once again, drop down ActiveX control and select .NET. And with the browser that has come up, I will find web browser, which will be down at the bottom. I'll double click to add it to a screen. And I will place it and then expand it out. And I'll open up the properties. And in the property pages, it looks similar. We have the same type of thing, the layout, the focus, the size, and data information and behavior. We won't change anything here, but we will change it in members. And we will go to methods, and we will scroll down to find navigate. And you see that there are several navigates that are listed here. This is simply an issue with how things are laid out inside of the software. There is only one navigate field that has just been replicated several times. So it doesn't matter which one you enter into, it will populate all of them with whatever data you enter. So I'll just go to the very top one, and I will click on parameters, and you see that we have two, URL and a bool for new window. So with the .NET web browser, we can trigger a new window to open. We're not going to do that here. We're simply going to add in a tag, and it will be a new tag, and it will be called URL tag 2. And we'll create it as a string data type with local scope. And okay, now that one is set. And inside of trigger, we will add a new tag as well. And we're just going to type in go tag 2. And we'll create it, and this one will be a Boolean with local scope. And now our web browser is configured for use. So I will click OK, and I'll quickly go back in just to show you. If we come down and we look, you see now that all of the navigates are populated with the 2 tags we just configured. So now we have the .NET Control configured properly, but we need a way to enter in the URL and to trigger. So much like in the ActiveX tutorial video, we are going to place a text data link and a button to do these 2 functions. And instead of creating them all from scratch, I'm going to go to ActiveX. I'm going to select the URL field and the Go button. I'm going to copy and paste them on the screen, and then just place them where I want them to go. We'll resize this a little bit. There we are. And then I will just simply change the tags that are used. So I'll make the tag expression for the text data link URL tag 2. And for the Go button, just change the tag from Go tag to Go tag 2. And then I will snap my development back to the left and then save. And now if I type in a website and click Go, I now have the web page come up. And so if I type again, so this operates very similar to the ActiveX control. The only difference is you have a few more features or functionality with the .NET. And .NET now is more widely used, but both are still available with the Blue Open Studio software. So much like the ActiveX controls, the web browser can be used to not only view web pages, but also documents as well. So what I will do is back in development, I will maximize, and I will copy my web browser control, and I will resize everything just to kind of make it a little easier to work with. So I'll shrink this down a little bit. And make this one fit. There we go. Then I'll bring up the properties, and you see that the name automatically incremented from web browser 1 to web browser 2. So I'll click on members, and I will go to methods. Once again, scroll down to navigate. And I will change this from the URL and Go tag 2. I'm just going to change one. I'm going to make this URL tag 3. I'll create it as a string with local scope. Then we'll change the Go tag from 2 to 3. And then I will create that as a bool with local scope. And now I have those configured. And you see I put the URL tag 3 and the Go tag 3 in 2 different rows. So if I click OK, come back in here, go back into my members, back to methods, down I come to navigate. You see that it did not take. So you have to be careful when doing this. So I will come back in here, come back in, even though it read that there was a new tag, it did not take it. So I'll filter out the strings and select URL tag 3. And with the go tag, filter out my booleans and select go tag 3 as well. And now when I click OK, and I come back in, you now see that they have updated. So now we have our web browser configured the way that we want. We just have to place the buttons down. And for that, we are going to go back to our ActiveX screen, and we are going to copy the website and PDF buttons from this screen and paste them on our .NET. We'll just have to change a few settings. So for the website, instead of doing the mwb2.navigate to, we are going to delete all of this and just simply put in our new URL tag. Tag 3 equals, and we will leave the URL in double quotes because we're still passing it a string. And then for PDF, we will change this again to URL tag 3. And I'll just get rid of the parentheses that encapsulate the get app path and the file name. Okay, so now we have our two buttons configured. Snap my development back to the left side and save. And now you see our new web browser shown up. So now if I click on website, nothing happens. If I click on PDF, nothing happens. That is because we still need to trigger it. So if I come back in here, I will copy the go button. And once again, change this toggle tag from the go tag 2 to go tag 3. Now when I save, I click on website and click go. Now it opens a website, select PDF and go, it opens a PDF. And now you see, because this is the .NET control, it has some embedded commands or controls we can use with the PDF. Zoom in and out, navigate pages, save or print, or do a reading mode. And this is because my .NET control is tied into my default PDF reader or viewer, which is Foxit Reader. We've seen the way to use a button to open these, but would it be possible to use it similar to the way that we did with the ActiveX control? So I'll come up here, and with this, I will comment out by just hitting a single quote at the beginning of the line to comment that line out. And then I will start typing in web browser 2 dot, see nothing comes up. I will make absolutely sure I get the syntax correct by copying the name out. I'll come in here, once again, web browser 2 dot, nothing. What if we did a $sign and then web? Nothing. That is because the .NET controls cannot be accessed like the ActiveX controls could through scripting. So you have to use the configuration fields for the control. You can then modify those dynamically through scripting or tags and do like we did with the options here with these buttons. Additionally, if we wanted to take one button out, I could simply use this tag inside of here at the very bottom. So what we can do is with that go tag, we can execute the trigger here. Now it is simply looking for the value to change in that tag in order to trigger the load for the web browser. We set the go tag 3 as a Boolean data type. Unfortunately, we do not have a toggle function that will toggle the value of a Boolean. The toggle function we have actually returns the inverse value of a current tag. So we can do one of two things. We could leave the goTag3 data type as Boolean and just do an if condition to essentially set up a toggle. Or the easier way would be to change it to an integer and just simply increment its value. So the first thing I'm going to do is find my goTag3, and I'm going to type in goTag3 equals goTag3 plus 1. When I check the script, it says it's okay because it's not looking for logical errors like a Boolean that's going to be incremented in value. So now I will copy this and I will go into PDF button as well and add this to the bottom. And then I will go back to the Project Explorer to the Global tab, and I will open my datasheet view for project tags. And down at the bottom is goTag3, and I will change the data type from Boolean to integer. And once I do that, you saw that the runtime quickly reloaded. That's because anytime you make a change to the project tags database, it essentially reloads the runtime to make those changes take effect. So I will save, which will also save changes made to the screen. And now when I click on website, it then sets the URL tag and then loads it. So the .NET web browser cannot use scripting to manipulate its methods or its properties, but you can use script to populate tags used inside of those and then run your controls. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact ProFace America Technical Support by phone at 1-800-289-9266, option 2, or by email, support@profaceamerica.com. You can also visit our website, profaceamerica.com, for manuals, drivers, product FAQs, and other product and software information. Thanks again, and have a great day.